financial independence, reducing risks, growing wealth, having an exit strategy that's sustainable. Those are some of the mountains all real estate agents and small business owners must climb. And we are here today with Beth Rooney, who has been with Fidelity Investments, her leadership there. She's been in leadership with William Ravis, Coldwell Banker, and now she is working with clients on setting up a path to financial independence.
Thanks.
Welcome back.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here, Joe. It's so nice to reconnect with you. And just really to have this great conversation. You and I have some similarities in our background, and I think we think about things in very similar ways. So this is a fun conversation for me.
Absolutely. And what you're tackling for your clients seems insurmountable to many, especially when it comes down to having the retirement plan, the growth plan, the path to wealth. So let's dig in.
Yes.
Where you recently, in the last several years, got into working with clients on a specific path. Can you jump into that and give us an idea what that's about?
Sure. You mentioned my background. I had a background in Fidelity Investments and managing real estate agents. I realized, wow, it's not like they have any disability insurance or anything like that. And I actually was tasked with trying to find a product that might work for them at one of my companies. And I didn't know about everything. I only knew about really traditional ways of saving and what have you. And it was really just too expensive for the company to create something like a 401k. So it always, kind of was in the back of my mind that, geez, real estate agents, they have only one way to earn money, and that's commission. And that's a very risky proposition, right? Because if they are injured, they can't work.
You're just trading your time for money at that point.
Yeah. And it becomes this, this hamster wheel. As much as they love it, and I don't mean to, paint real estate agents' career with a negative brush. I mean, they love it, and it's exciting. There's no 2 days are the same. There's a lot of great excitement to that. But sometimes they're so busy, they don't take a step back to say, what's my exit strategy? Is there another way for me to add income to my business, and really look at themselves as a business person as opposed to a real estate agent?
Right. Absolutely. There are many agents out there that don't run a P&L. They don't really understand where their money's going. They know where it's coming from. They just don't know where it's going sometimes. So it's great to have that attitude and approach as a business owner. What are some of the easy steps for somebody to get into this and start evaluating how to build wealth?
I think the first thing is to say, okay, what's my long-term plan? Do I have a strategy in place so I'm not selling real estate the rest of my life? So of course there's a savings plan, right? So what savings vehicles are available to them? Well, they have an IRA, they have a Roth IRA, but they also have the ability to use life insurance as a savings vehicle. And I bring that up because life insurance provides a lot more than what you think it does if it's structured properly.
Right.
Life insurance kind of has a bad rap because it's very elusive to know what does a life insurance agent get paid. Very different than what we're going through in our real estate world right now. So you don't know necessarily how they're getting paid, how much they're getting paid. And it's really hard to know where your money's going. So life insurance products can be set up so that you minimize the amount of death benefit, which makes it much less expensive for the client, and you maximize the amount of cash they can put in. That does the exact opposite of putting money in the life insurance agent's pocket. They are not motivated to do that because they're getting paid on the death benefit piece of it. But the products themselves are set up so that you can structure them that way. You just have to meet the minimum to satisfy the IRS that it's life insurance, and then you can overfund it with cash. Why is that good for a real estate agent? Well, it gives them that safety net. God forbid something happens to them. It has something called living benefits, so if they get sick, they can access that death benefit before they die and use it for anything like chronic illnesses or anything like that. And they have access to the cash value in there. So they could borrow that money, say, and invest in their business. And all the time it's growing. So it's killing a number of birds with one stone.
Now, right now, I'm guessing anybody watching this is going to go back and start yelling at their insurance agent. What isn't fair?
Which is not fair. No,
right.
No.
So how is a agent to know what to ask for and what to look for?
Well, they really they want to think about it as more of as a tool to use that money, to pull it out and use it to reinvest in something else, like real estate or like their business. Okay. So it's not, you have term insurance. A lot of people have term insurance, and that's great. That checks a box. There's a need for that. I'm not saying that there's not. But what I'm talking about is properly structured high cash value life insurance with the intention of immediately using, like I just finished a fix and flip. I borrowed money from my cash value policy. I use it as my down payment. And when I close on that, I'll pay myself back and be able to do that again. But all the while, that underlying, even though I took the money out, it was still earning 5% the entire time. So it's called uninterrupted compound interest. And I'll just use that and rinse and repeat. And that's where, because I am now an independent contractor, I no longer have all those benefits that I had when I was managing offices. It provides a little bit of that safety net for my family. God forbid something happened to me. That's the intention of using it. Yes, it's a little, so it's, yes, you get a death benefit. That's great, but that's not really what you're trying to do. You're trying to create a savings vehicle that you can pull money out of, still get interest while you're using that money, use that money to do something like, again, maybe you build a course, and you teach people how to teach other agents how to do something. You make some type of an investment in your business, or you increase your marketing. You really you hire a company and you really dive deep into your marketing. Again, or you invest in real estate. There's a lot of different ways that they can take that money out and use it to create more income and then pay themselves back.
Now, when you say minimize the death benefit, that is relative to the situation of every individual, I would think, and family situation.
You can
How do you measure it?
Well, you want to look at your there is a formula to figure that out. So if I'm going to work for, say, another 20 years, and I'm going to make X amount of money during those 20 years, and then I'm going to retire, say 10 years into it, something happens and I die. Well, what does my family need to A, replace the next 10 years of my income, and B, maybe pay our mortgage, or have we saved for college and all that kind of thing. So you can figure it out that way. And you can supplement this with term insurance. So term insurance is very inexpensive, or you can do what's called a term rider on these policies. So you're getting that death benefit in an inexpensive way through a term rider, but you're really trying to grow what you can, put as much cash in there as you can, so you have access to that. So you can do things like invest in real estate. Now, we started this off to say, we're talking about real estate agents and how they have one stream of income. That's the point of this, is to say, how can they become more diversified? Because it's very risky having one stream of income that's completely variable, that depends a lot on market conditions, and it depends on their physical ability to get up and get out and show houses and all that kind of stuff. It's like like you said, exchanging time for money. Right. So this is one strategy to start to dilute the risk a little bit.
Brilliant. And I assume there are some tax consequences with this, positive and or negative.
Yes, there are. Well, it's positive in that, because when you access the money, because it's a loan against your future death benefit, it's a loan. So there's no taxes on loans. So you can pull that money out and pay yourself back over time without any tax consequences. When you die, when your family gets the death benefit, that's actually a tax-free to them. So this is a really good supplement to, say, like an IRA, because when you have an IRA or a 401k and you die, your family actually has to pay taxes on that pretty quickly after. If you had a life insurance policy in addition to that, they could use the proceeds of the life insurance policy that come tax-free to pay the taxes on the taxable bucket. It's not an all or nothing. A lot of people out there, if you go online, you'll hear people that sell these policies say, this is the only way to do it. And people that don't sell it say, that's a terrible idea. It's an overall strategy that it's an arrow in your quiver that most people don't know about, and they don't know about it because it's not structured properly most of the time.
So how does an agent or anybody that wants this kind of opportunity, figure out the details?
Well, they could go online and do some research. It's not something that you can just really go and structure yourself. You do need to have somebody that knows how to do it. They could read some books. There's some terrific books out there. I'll show you one. There's one that's called just Wealth and Life Insurance. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
There's a book called Becoming the Bank by Nelson Nash. That's a great, so they can start reading. There's some really good books out there to read that they could start to get educated with. But before you even do that, Joe, I think it's a mindset about real estate agents thinking a little bit about their future and not looking at it with fear. That's after managing agents for many years. I find that they don't want to talk about this because it's fearful. It's fear driven. And I think that if they can think about their mindset and say, okay, I want to own the future. I want to have a great future. What does that entail? How can I supplement my income? Not change industries or anything like that, but how can I be a great real estate agent and add some other income streams to my business so that I'm a little bit more diversified? And they can do that through, this is just one sort of idea, but they could do that through real estate investing. I mean, they have a front row seat to the real estate market.
That's right.
They could do that through, at my company and yours, there's something called agent attraction. So they could start to really build out ways to get some passive income.
Going back to, I'd love to dig into that secondly. First, you mentioned opportunities to buy real estate and invest. One of the things that I didn't understand how powerful it could be is we always look local.
Yes.
Local? What am I seeing? What can I get into? And that can be a great opportunity. Yet in some markets, that price point is way too high for somebody to go in and start investing. And I'm meeting people that are investing all around the country and they're getting it done. And they're buying low dollar properties and holding on to them, renting them out, and it's working for them. They're going to areas of Detroit, they're going to Indiana, they're going to rural places where there are new factories being built. Lots of cool opportunities like that where I was never made aware of those types of opportunities until the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's incredible. Yeah, 100%. I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be right in your backyard. You can go to areas where Airbnbs are really popular. There's, some of the Tennessee kind of that belt there. There's some beautiful lakes down in Texas. One of the things that I've loved about being with EXP is that I've become part of a group called Powerhouse. We're all over the country. And I get to work with these agents all the time. And some of them, this is what they specialize in, helping people from other parts of the country come and invest in their area because their area is great for Airbnbs, or maybe they're near a local college and there's great ways to affordably get a midterm rental near a college, things like that. So yes, it's a really good point to think outside of the box and outside of the neighborhood in terms of being able to invest.
Yeah, cool. And second, you mentioned passive income opportunities with the non-traditional brands like EXP, LPT. There's several others out there that are doing it. Can you speak to that and the true viability of all that happening? Because it sounds too good to be true.
If you think about it, they're cloud-based, right? So what does cloud-based mean? It means that they don't have the overhead of the bricks and mortar. They don't have the overhead of the leadership structure where there's, for every office, a sales manager. And now you and I were both one of those people getting paid there, right? Yeah. But that's a big chunk of what's happened with agents when they're taking a big piece of their portion of their commission. They have to pay for the bricks and mortar of their office that they're sitting in, the person that's sitting there as the manager. Most offices have some type of a transaction coordinator. Many offices also have a marketing person. And then each of those 4 levels have people that manage them. They have regional managers, right? There's a marketing manager. There's a manager of all of the admins that are sitting in all these offices. And then there's national managers for them. And then there's the ownership. I mean, there's so many layers, right? So if you can take out that whole level of expense and say, okay, we can give this money back to our agents in two ways at the same time. One is through their splits. So typically these cloud-based companies like EXP, and I'm sure LPT, and I know you have two options, but at EXP, you have a very simple plan. Everybody in the entire company is on the same plan. It's 80-20 until you earn $16,000 for the company, and then it's 100%.
Right.
And so that's one way. The other thing is they don't have the expense of having all of these managers out recruiting, right? So they have some money to spend to build their audience of agents up. So why not spend it on the agents who are going to have the best view of who's good, who are good agents that they'd want to do business with. And so like when I was building my offices at Caldwell and Ravis, my best agent hires came from the agents in the office saying to me, Beth, I just did a deal with this person. You're going to love them. I've already told them that you're going to call. That was my bread and butter of how I grew my business. Now, that agent did it out of the kindness of their heart. We tried to pay them a little bit, but it was always clunky. It was always unclear. It was never like black and white, this is what you're going to get paid. And it became a negative thing. After time, they were like, I'm sick of doing that because I'm not getting paid anything. And then I just brought in a competitor to my office. So it's very different than that. You're going to get paid on their transactions for as long as they stay. And if they grow, you're going to get paid on the people underneath them. So it's a very sort of crystal clear, black and white. Everybody knows how you're going to get paid. And you're not their manager. That's the other big thing. You're not responsible for them if you bring them into the company. So they don't have to be in your market. It may even be better if they're not.
There is an incentive to support and help, because you do want them to be successful and continue to.
Absolutely. Yes.
I just want to point out that is a phenomenal model. You have opportunities for passive income through helping the company grow. Some have stock options as well, which is, you can't control that, but hey, if you're going to get it, that's fantastic, right?
Yep.
It's not for everybody. So one of the things I've learned, and I'm sure you get it too, not every agent can fit into every brokerage.
Right.
There are certain people that they want that brick and mortar. They want the people to be around them. They want the hand holding and the local management and all that stuff. They thrive on.
Yeah.
So as much as this is a great opportunity, it isn't for everybody. And it's a good conversation. Now, I'm sure you feel this way too. We don't have a quota to hit. We don't have numbers we have to bring in. So when we're talking to somebody, if it's not a fit, hey, there are other places to go. And you and I don't know about you, but I'm so very open to suggesting another firm if it's not going to fit with LPT, in your case, EXP.
I mean, and the other thing is that there's only about, I think at EXP, and I may be wrong here, but it's only about 15% of the agents take advantage of the ability to earn income through agent attraction. So it's not for everybody. And most of the agents that are at the company aren't there to do that. But some agents have made themselves millionaires literally by doing this in a way that, I'm part of a group that it's really fun for me because the agents are, really motivated. Amy Gregory is awesome. It's fun. She holds a weekly meeting. She doesn't have to do any of that, but she does. And she creates this culture that is really fun to be part of. And it's a very clear, like, female solo agents are her, what is mostly attracted to her. And she paints a really great picture for especially younger agents and maybe a young family, that you can have both, that you can be there for in the pickup line for, carpool. You can be at the soccer game and you can be a successful real estate agent. Right. You can do it all if you learn how to use things like technology and social media and all that kind of great stuff. So it expands. What it does to me is it gets, I just did a post today about proximity is power. And I find that sometimes if people are in a bricks and mortar office, they're kind of only looking around that brick and mortar office to say, who's here? What can I learn from the people here? When they have a whole world of people out there doing things very differently and so whether you leave that bricks and mortar or you don't, keeping your vision a little bit wider to say, how are things getting done? Not because, we're trying to recruit you, but just to say, what are other ways I could grow my business other than how things are done here in my little town, in my section of the country, in this little corner of my world.
Yeah, you look at some of the smaller areas. I was on Cape Cod, and you compare Cape Cod general market, or where somebody doing 50 units is outstanding, and you go in other markets, you have agents doing 80, 100 units, and they're
Right.
just have an assistant because they
Yeah.
have systems. So
Yeah.
having that exposure to a national body of agents that are crushing it in different ways, it's really helpful for everybody's own business.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about investment properties. Well, you
Mhm.
mentioned Airbnbs, you mentioned flip. Well, let's talk about flips, buy and holds. Where are you coaching your agents to go? What are you seeing?
It really depends on what's important to them. What are they trying to do? Do you know what I mean? And what they like to do. Like, for example, an Airbnb is not passive income.
Right.
You can make it passive. You can hire somebody to co-host it and run it for you, but that there's a cost to that. Where, being a tenant, being a landlord, it's a little bit easier to be passive, right? You can hire a management company and you can really sort of be passive. And then, of course, a fix and flip is not passive at all. I love to see the potential in a home. I see potential in a home, and I think, geez, this house could be beautiful. And, it doesn't take a ton of work. It takes work, but not, a crazy amount of work to take homes. And I happen to live in a part of the country, just greater Boston, where most of the homes were built after World War II. So you have a ton of homes. The majority of the housing stock, especially in my town, was built in the 50s and 60s, if not even before that. And some of those homes haven't been touched in 100 years. Yeah. That to me gets me excited. But if I was living in, another part of the country where it's relatively newly built, some neighborhoods in Texas, for example, the whole neighborhood was built within 20, 25 years ago. There's not as much opportunity there for, say, a fix and flip, but there may be great opportunity for other types of, maybe there's a big employer nearby and people need rentals, that kind of thing. So really, and there's a lot of different options available to people.
What's interesting about being in the Raleigh area and coming from New England, we're seeing that sprawl happening. So, not too long ago, buyers and investors were going at it near the core of the city. And now as it expands, they're going further and further out to get the deals to flip.
Yeah.
And so it's an interesting to see that. That all happened back in like you were saying, the 50s and 60s when it was blowing up around that area. One of the other things you mentioned too on the short-term rentals, there's an interview on my channel with Cassandra Lyles. She digs deep into some of the things you should watch out for doing. There's a lot of people that are jumping into it. They get a good deal on the price of the house. They go to get started and they realize they have to furnish it and they have to do all that other stuff to get it up and running, and it becomes an expense and time. So like you said, you gave out 3 options with buying real estate and how you can use them, and they are all different, and it depends on the agent's appetite for risk and what they're trying to do with the money. Is it long-term? Is it short-term to fund maybe long-term? So really do have to look at all those opportunities.
Yes. Yeah, it's true. And I have some calculators and I'm willing to share with people on that. And, you got to look at the Cape this summer. After 2020, Cape Cod, a lot of people bought homes on the Cape. And then they thought, geez, I actually miss traveling a little bit in the summer. So they said, I'll just rent it out. Well, that happened so much that Airbnbs really struggled on the Cape this summer in certain parts that usually sell out great. I mean, you could get a great Cape rental at a much lower price than you could in, say, 2022.
Yeah, I think a lot of people got surprised about the difference between an outer Cape town like Wellfleet, how fun it is in the summer compared to February. That's a stark difference. And I think their eyes got wide open and travel hit.
Yes, got picked back it up. You're right. Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Cool. So I want to wrap this up. I'd love to hear from you how agents can reach out to you. Obviously, they'll be able to click on your links. You're going to be that are here. And what is the approach they should take if they want to talk to you? Just
reach out to me. Honestly, I have a link that I have time on my calendar. I do 30-minute, and I think that's the best thing to do. I think, Joe, the thing we haven't talked about, and I think that's most important, is in that, and really where I start with talking to, whether it's an agent or an investor or even a buyer or a seller, is what's your mindset? What do you want? What are you trying to accomplish? And to really take the time to think that through. I think we're just in a world where it's so easy to just say, well, I just want enough. I'll be fine if I can do this. And I like to really try to blow the doors off of that and say, really, what would make you happy? What would really make you feel fulfilled? And let's start there. And so the conversation is there. And then there's all kinds of solutions, right? Maybe you should have some passive income through agent attraction. Have you ever considered creating a course? That's a great way to start. A lot of these agents and anybody really, you may have something that you really know very well, like how to work with military families. Well, not every agent knows that. So could you teach other agents how to do that and use digital courses as a way to start to supplement your income? So the premise is, yes, you want to sell more real estate, but what else can you do so you can diversify yourself a little bit and maybe start to create other streams of income that are going to provide a little bit more long-term predictability to your income? And so that the best way to reach out to me is to talk to me, because there's not a one size kind of fits all.
Right. Very cool.
Awesome.
Beth, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate your time
For having me too.
and your wisdom.
Glad to.
So for everybody watching, this is your time to start climbing that mountain. Have fun.
Thanks.